It's Friday, August 22nd. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. The lengthy history of a maritime doctor charged with assaulting a patient. Aaron hurdles high waves toward maritime beaches as it spins out to sea.
The weekend will be mostly dry, but a good chance of some rain and showers Monday.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good Friday evening. Today we received a slew of documents connected to the investigation into the missing Sullivan children in Pictou County. 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack vanished more than 3 months ago. Hundreds of pages of just released court documents shed light on what police discovered. CTV late anchor Bruce Frisco has been pouring through it all and joins us with more in the news center. Bruce.
Well, Todd, the information, as you say, is contained in court applications filed by investigators for permission to conduct searches for things like phone records, banking records, video related to the case. This is all standard procedure. We're told a lot of the documents are heavily redacted, look just like this, a lot of stuff censored out, but they do include unproven statements made by police, their impressions on what they found. So some basic facts. The children reported missing first at 10 a.m. on May the 2nd from their home in Lansdowne Station by their mother, Malaya Brooks Murray. Police were at the trailer at 10:27 that day. She told the cops she believed the children had wandered away from home, but the exact time for that is redacted. Lie detector tests were administered to the mother and the stepfather on May the 12th, and both passed. An officer noted, quote, "At this point in the investigation, Jack and Lily's disappearance is not believed to be criminal in nature." More polygraphs were administered in June to the children's biological father, and he passed. But when police attempted the same test on the children's step-grandmother, they found the test ineffective. I'm quoting again. "Her physiology was not suitable for analysis, and an opinion on the polygraph examination was not rendered," end quote. The documents also confirmed police found Lily's blanket about 1 kilometer away from the house a day after the disappearance, but a sniffer dog couldn't pick up any scents around it. A couple of days later, police found a piece of the same blanket in the garbage at the end of the driveway. Now, perhaps the most compelling piece of evidence came from a woman named Natasha Hayward, who told police she saw 2 children walking along the side of the road on May 2nd. They were holding hands, she said. She said the boy had dirty blonde hair, was wearing shorts. The girl had darkish hair in pigtails. She was wearing a tank top with blue strings. She said the children were walking toward a white female, 50 or 60 years old, who was waiting next to an older model tan or gray or gold sedan, and the back door was open. She later described the children as older than Jack and Lily, and as far as we know, police have yet been able to corroborate what she allegedly saw on the road that day. Todd.
A lot of information. We don't seem to be getting much closer, though, Bruce. Thank you for that, starting us off this Friday in the news center. And, of course, Bruce will have your late news at 11:30. We're learning more about the doctor in New Brunswick accused of sexually assaulting a patient last winter in hospital in Amherst. CTV News has confirmed he previously had his license revoked in Quebec after a ruling there found he lied about his resume. Details now from CTV's Callum Smith.
New Brunswick Health Minister Dr. John Dornan declined answering how much the province knew about Dr. Sanjeev Sirpal's history prior to hiring him, but maintains the public can be confident when seeking health care.
They should have faith. There's a very strict reviewing process at our college, at our RHAs, and it doesn't happen just on entry. It happens on a regular basis.
As for criminal allegations like this, Dornan says,
"We don't hear about them very often, fortunately, because there's a good process that screens people, whether it's physicians, nurses, or other healthcare providers."
Nova Scotia Health telling CTV News Dr. Sirpal worked intermittent emergency department shifts on a locum basis between September 2023 and March 2025, confirming that he was not a permanent employee. The Nova Scotia College of Physicians and Surgeons told CTV News yesterday Sir Powell began practicing in New Brunswick in 2022 and applied to the Atlantic Registry, allowing him to practice across the region in 2023. But in March of this year, Nova Scotia's college was advised by neighboring New Brunswick that Sir Powell was removed from the Atlantic Registry due to conditions placed on his license relating to sexual organ examinations. That made him ineligible to work across the region, but still eligible to practice in his home province of New Brunswick, with a chaperone present for those exams. That is until yesterday, when New Brunswick's Vitalite Health Network told us Sir Powell is no longer scheduled at the Edmundston Hospital, pending the conclusion of the legal process. But the troubles don't stop there for Sir Powell. The Quebec College of Physicians revoked his license in 2022 for lying on his resume. The judgment said he knowingly provided the Quebec College of Physicians inaccurate information on his antics on various American university campuses. Sir Powell's counsel argued that he answered questions on the college's registration to the best of his knowledge and that, quote, he cannot be blamed for having made a poor analysis of the form, unquote. Now, the New Brunswick College of Physicians and Surgeons told us today the criminal charges against Sir Powell are very concerning, and the college is determining what further action is needed. Now, going back a few years, he was practicing in New Brunswick for several months prior to his Quebec license being revoked. New Brunswick's college registrar tells us, quote, during this period, we had received feedback from the Regional Health Authority indicating that he was performing well without any concerns. Based on this, we made the determination at that time to continue his license. Todd.
A lot of questions there, Callum. Thank you very much in the newsroom with us tonight. A man is dead after an incident near some cliffs last night in Cape Breton. Regional police say they responded to a call for help around 11:30 last night and found a man lying on the shoreline at the end of Black Point Street in Sydney Mines. Ambulance and fire services carried the man out by stretcher to the hospital for treatment of undetermined injuries. He later died. The man's age has not been released. The medical examiner's office will perform an autopsy, and police are investigating to determine what happened in this case. All right, let's get our first look at the weather forecast this evening. We'll bring in Kaylin Mitchell. And Kaylin, the temperatures are warm, the waves are high, so are the winds.
Boy, it could have been a completely different story, though, if Aaron had just moved in a little bit further towards the west. But it stayed far to the south and east of the Maritime region, so we avoided most of the weather impacts from it. Saw a little bit of cloud cover for areas of Nova Scotia today. Saw a little bit of rain out at Sable Island. There was, of course, the increase in the wave action around the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia, but that was about it. So otherwise, we're making our way into this evening. Temperatures are still sitting around the low to mid 20s at this point, and the winds a little bit in the blustery side and out of the north and northeast. In a lot of cases, are being sustained between 15 and 30 kilometers per hour. Really, the only parts of the region that are really seeing some somewhat significant gusts right now are parts of Nova Scotia, and a few of those still creeping up to the range around 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. Those will continue to diminish as we make our way through tonight. Over on radar and satellite, you can see even the cloud cover back edge of Hurricane Erin is beginning to actually clear out. And you know what? I just misspoke there. It's no longer Hurricane Erin. It's now become a post-tropical storm system. That is a change in the physics of the storm. It's pretty typical for this to happen. Once it reaches the northern latitudes, it starts to draw its energy instead of from the warmer ocean waters, from temperature differences in the atmosphere. And basically what that means is it starts to develop weather fronts, like cold fronts and warm fronts, and that's a sign that it becomes post-tropical. It also takes a more asymmetrical appearance, which it has, and its track is going to carry on and take it up into the North Atlantic. So it's basically moving past us and further off towards the east. So what's going to happen for us as that happens? Well, the remaining cloud cover is going to continue to clear. That wave action that we saw intensify around parts of the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia today. Well, that's going to be diminishing Saturday into Sunday. In behind it, it's pretty fair weather in the forecast throughout much of the weekend. Todd, of course, we are definitely looking for some rain. Looks more promising for that at the start of next week, and I'll have that in the long-range details a little bit later on.
Okay, see you in 15 minutes. Now, those winds seem to be affecting somewhat the Long Lake fire in Annapolis County. The county has just reissued a state of emergency. There are 3 wildfires burning in Nova Scotia and another 18 in New Brunswick at this hour, with the Long Lake fire in Nova Scotia remaining the most concerning. CTV's Avery McRae has our update.
It's not often you see a pair of natural disasters taking place at the same time.
I've been doing this for 21 years, and I think it's also the first time that we've had to deal with a wildfire and a hurricane, and at least watching a hurricane at the same time.
With Hurricane Aaron remaining offshore, Nova Scotia officials told reporters today the winds brought by the storm shouldn't play a big factor when it comes to the ongoing firefight. Of the 3 wildfires being battled in the province, only 1 is deemed out of control. The Long Lake fire in West Dalhousie grew slightly overnight to 3,212 hectares.
The fire had spread a number of days ago now up to and past the West Dalhousie Road, where there are homes and there was active structure protection. We've actually had fire in and around infrastructure and homes that have been protected.
No homes have been lost. The focus from crews has been dousing the fire's north side closest to the community, but today water bombers have hammered the fire's south perimeter in preparation of a wind change. Meanwhile, in New Brunswick, there is 1 less fire burning to begin the weekend. Of the 18 fires, just 4 are deemed out of control. The province's largest fire is still off Oldfield Road, which remains contained at just over 1,400 hectares. With conditions still timber dry, the city of Fredericton reminded residents today that fire restrictions, including burn bans and the closure of the city's wooded trails, remain in effect. Officials in Nova Scotia are pointing to Monday as a possible big day for the firefight. Meteorologist Bob Robichaud says there are a few systems being tracked that could bring significant rain to the region that would be helpful, particularly for the Long Lake fire. Avery McRae, CTV News, St. John.
And a reminder for updates on the fire scene, also for Aaron, what's become of Aaron. You can find all of that at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. There are 20 new, much-needed beds in New Brunswick's long-term care system, which are the first of its kind to be open in Greater St. John. The beds were part of an expansion at Meadow Valley Manor on the city's east side. Officials say the beds are designated for people who don't need 24-hour care, but still require some help with certain tasks. New Brunswick has a lengthy list of people waiting to get a long-term care bed. Social Development Minister Cindy Miles says a plan to address the province's bed shortage will be released in the fall. The new medical school at Cape Breton University welcomed its first class of students today. There they are, the first class of 30 students, all from Nova Scotia, arrived today at the makeshift headquarters for the new Cape Breton Medical Campus. They're being hosted for now at the former Nova Scotia Community College building. That's right next door to CBU. The university has said in the past that the new medical sciences building is expected to open by the end of October. Now, though, it appears that unclear exactly when students and teachers will move in.
The move-in time will depend on a number of different things. One is we want to ensure, obviously, that the building is complete, and we don't want to be too disruptive for the students' studies. So we'll pick a time that all those things align in order to move over to that brand new, wonderful building.
The first class has a commitment to practice family medicine in rural areas of Nova Scotia for at least 5 years after they graduate. More than 100 people turned out today to support Dalhousie University faculty members walking the picket line.
Who is down? We are down. Who is down? We are down. Fight and win.
The university locked out its professors, librarians, and other support staff earlier this week. The two sides in the dispute say money is the major issue. 83% of union members voted against the latest contract offer from the school's Board of Governors. Classes are scheduled to begin in a couple of weeks' time.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Rearranging the schedule. loosening grade levels and incorporating more AI in the classroom. They could all be part of the New Brunswick government's plans to revamp K-12 education across the province. CTV's Nick Moore explains.
The first official day of school in New Brunswick is September 2nd, but the provincial government is already looking ahead to the fall of 2026 when a new education plan will come into effect. Today, the government put out discussion papers meant for guiding public consultations over the fall, covering a number of scenarios, including the replacement of traditional K-8 grade levels and shuffling the school day to include both required and student-selected courses before high school. All ideas right now, but the New Brunswick Teachers Association says it likes what it is seeing.
We were very pleased to see the discussion paper highlight that establishing that stable workforce must be our top priority. And nothing matters more to student success than having qualified and supported teachers in well-resourced schools.
At the same time, the union, representing about 100 laid-off library workers and educational support staff, says it can't really look ahead to the 2026 school year when so much remains in limbo for the upcoming school year. The New Brunswick Labour Board ordered the provincial government to cancel those layoff notices in late July, claiming the government bargained in bad faith. The province says it is now challenging that order after reviewing it.
I find it very disrespectful that it is a court order and they can just ignore it.
QP 2745 says it will now file another Labour Board complaint alleging the government is in contempt.
That is just happening as I'm speaking with you. There hopefully is an end in sight soon,
but likely not before the first day of school. Now, we were hoping to ask Education Minister Claire Johnson questions directly today, and initially we were told that would be possible. A virtual news conference was scheduled, then delayed, and then called off altogether with technical difficulties being blamed. We tried several times today to reschedule an interview opportunity virtually. That did not happen. Todd.
All right, Nick, in our Fredericton studio this evening. We'll step aside for our first break tonight. Later, Kaylin has our full look at the weekend weather forecast. But first, a road to ruin?
Our sales doesn't cope up our expenses at all.
A busy Halifax street torn up by construction could stay that way much longer than anticipated. Businesses, as you heard, not very happy. If you've got to cross Halifax Harbour, you've got less than 2 hours to cross the McKay Bridge before it closes for the weekend. The north end span shuts down at 8 o'clock and stays closed until 5:30 Monday morning. The Bridge Commission says it's necessary as the structure undergoes critical maintenance work. It's the latest in a series of summer shutdowns for the Halifax bridges. The McDonald Bridge remains open through the weekend. A busy street in Halifax that typically sees 14,000 cars daily has been under construction since April and could remain torn up well past its due date. That has businesses worried, as CTV's Emma Convey found out.
This diner on Dutch Village Road has only been open for a month. Owner Michael Similiano didn't expect such a slow start.
It's not really busy. As I said, we struggle financially, so meaning our sales doesn't cope up our expenses at all.
He blames this construction outside his door. It started in April as part of a $10 million upgrade. And since it began, the area councillor says crews have encountered a number of unexpected challenges.
They keep finding pipes that were abandoned in the road decades ago and not marked. They were expecting to fix 40 pipes, and they've had to fix 70.
The work is at the halfway point, although crews plan to switch construction from the west side of the street to the east side by next week. But it's now been pushed back.
We needed to do this 10 years ago or more, so yeah, it's a huge disruption. You know, the longer you put a project off, the more complicated it gets.
But for small businesses, any delay has quite the impact on them.
It's extended till September 19th, and will there be any more extension? And if there is, like, how do you kind of plan for that? And as a small independent business, it's just like us.
Shops and restaurants along this street are rallying together to help each other. And despite hoping for compensation for their losses, the city doesn't provide financial help to businesses affected by necessary road work.
Compensate or program that will help us, everything that would be, really appreciated.
City and the province should step up, but also there has to be some form of accountability on the company who's doing the construction so that they stay on time.
The city told CTV News in a statement that despite these challenges, the contractor expects most of the work to be completed by December. But with the cold weather approaching, putting a pause on road work, some tasks may take them into spring of 2026. Emma Convey, CTV News, Halifax.
What will the weekend weather look like? I don't think it'll be chilly like Emma was saying. Kaylin Mitchell is working up the details in the full maritime forecast. Is it still beach weather, Kaylin? We'll find out after this. Coastal Nova Scotia is a little livelier today thanks to Erin. The storm spinning away from the Maritimes is so large that it's still sending pounding waves at beaches, coves and cliffs. No destruction is expected. Still, some folks are being precautious. Here's CTV's Hafsa Arif.
The ocean roared all day, a rolling reminder of Hurricane Erin churning offshore. People lined the coast early, some with cameras, others just watching. Signs warned swimmers to stay out, while lifeguards kept a close eye. But for surfers, this was the payoff.
This is part of our life. Everyone's come out to watch the surf today, but we're always tracking and we're always sort of keeping our eye on when the surf's going to be good or bad.
The Canadian Hurricane Center is warning of dangerous surf along Nova Scotia's Atlantic coast. Large swells and rip currents will peak with this evening's high tide.
We have a lot of people who visit this time of year, or a lot of people that only surf 10 times a year. And the days that it's really big storm waves is probably not the day you want to take your surfboard out of the garage.
Over the last few days, many have been out enjoying the waves, but today's been the best yet, which is why surfers started early and even stayed all day.
So I was out there, spent probably about 4 hours in the water, just coming back in, grabbing some water, grabbing some food, going to watch some friends surf and head back out there.
Even those not in wetsuits, the draw was undeniable.
Love the fact that there are so many and they're just coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. And it's just awesome to see. It's awesome to experience.
By afternoon, more surfers arrived, calling this the first real waves in months.
Pretty big. It's looking like head and a half, at least, maybe some double overhead sets. So that's big for here, for sure.
A fleeting window brought on by Erin offshore, leaving behind big waves, warm water, and a coastline full of energy. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Halifax.
And there's a live look right now at Lunenburg and the harbor where it is 21 degrees, and that will be a very busy place tomorrow because the 74th annual International Dory Races will be held in Lunenburg Harbor tomorrow. 12 teams, USA and Canada. It is a lot of history on display. Will any of that surf that Hafsa been talking about make its way into the inner harbor there?
Well, first of all, go Canada. The inner harbor, of course, being a little bit more sheltered than what we saw where Hafsa was, and the wave action in general is expected to decrease as we move through tomorrow. So I'm expecting pretty favorable conditions for the races. When was the last time you surfed some double overhead sets?
The double overhead sets. I usually leave those for the younger set.
That's fair. All right, let's take a quick look at weather conditions across the country. We'll get back to our forecast here in the Maritimes in just a moment. So beginning with our national outlook, we've got very warm temperatures, south coast BC. Victoria at this hour, sunshine, 28 degrees. Things are warming up a little bit in parts of the prairies, at least compared to yesterday. 20 at Edmonton right now, 19 at both Regina and Winnipeg. Off towards the east, hotter temperatures. Southern Ontario, southern Quebec, Ottawa right now, 30 degrees. Montreal sitting at 28. 25, warm at Fredericton, 21 at Halifax, 19 at Charlottetown, and cooler at St. John's in Newfoundland, sitting at 10. Taking a look at our timeline for cloud cover and precipitation. Clearing sky for this evening and the first part of the overnight. Now, very early Saturday morning, some cloud cover will start to return from the west. A mix of sun and cloud tomorrow for the Maritimes with a chance of some spotty showers for northern areas of New Brunswick. The winds continue to get lighter as we move through tonight. A change in the wind direction for Saturday as the weather front begins to approach from the west. It becomes a south and southwest wind Saturday afternoon into evening, sustained 10 to 20 kilometers per hour, gusts 20 to 40. Sunday, though, the wind gusts pick up a little bit. Expects some somewhat blusterier conditions. Some of the peak wind gusts could reach around 50 kilometers per hour. That again happens as that front gets a little bit closer, and that front's important for the start of next week. More on that in a moment. Low temperatures tonight, high single digits and low teens in the region. In the forecast tomorrow for northern areas of New Brunswick, high temperatures 24 to 27 degrees. Pretty warm as well down through central and southern parts of the province. Most of the highs 25 to 27, except 23 around the Bay of Fundy coastline. Prince Edward Island tomorrow, a lot of high temperatures, 24, 25 degrees, except 22 on parts of the coast. In Cape Breton, high temperatures between 21 and 23 degrees. North shore of Nova Scotia, a few communities could touch on 26, including New Glasgow and Antigonish. On the eastern shore, most communities with highs of between 22 and 24. Cumberland, Colchester counties for tomorrow, most high temperatures 22 to 25 degrees, about 25 around the Fall River, Enfield areas. City centers, Halifax and Dartmouth near 23, and then around 21 for Chester and Lunenburg. 25 degrees for Bridgewater, 23 for Shelburne on the south shore and the southwest. Coastal areas closer to 21 degrees, including Yarmouth and the Annapolis Valley. A very warm Saturday, lots of sunshine, high temperatures near 26. Now, I mentioned that front approaching from the west is important for the forecast for the start of next week. It's because that weather system looks like it's going to be the one to bring us our best chance of seeing some widespread rain and showers in the region. Now, on Monday for New Brunswick, still going to go with showers in the forecast. Looks like rainfall amounts for that province could mostly be in the range of around 2 to 10 millimeters. Chance of a couple lingering showers in the forecast for Tuesday. After that's followed by a mix of sun and cloud for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. High temperatures, low 20s on Wednesday, mid 20s on Thursday, and then back to the low 20s on Friday. For Nova Scotia for the weekend forecast, it is basically sunny conditions both Saturday and Sunday, and some thin high cloud cover present on Sunday. High temperatures, mid 20s, except low 20s on the coast. Monday, showers in the forecast. Now, there is a chance as that front comes in on Monday that it could draw some additional moisture off the Atlantic, and that could turn the showers over to periods of rain. If we see that happen, and I hope it does, it could lead to at least some localized rainfall amounts of between 10 and 30 millimeters. Now, a chance of showers after that on Tuesday, and that's followed by a mix of sun and cloud for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. High temperatures in the low 20s. For Prince Edward Island, the forecast coming up for the end of the weekend on Sunday, it's mostly sunny, highs near 26 degrees. Showers expected on Monday. High temperatures near 25, a chance of showers on Tuesday, highs again near 25 degrees. Cools a little bit for Wednesday with a mix of sun and cloud, highs near 20, and then low 20s in the forecast for Thursday and Friday, Todd.
Normally, I'd look at that and I'd think, okay, that's good mowing the lawn weather.
Yes.
When was the last time you mowed your lawn?
Oh, jeez. Right? It's been weeks.
Weeks?
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, and same with everybody in the neighborhood. I wanted to ask you, I know it's getting out of our region and off elsewhere. We're not too concerned about it and happy that it missed us. But is there enough left in Erin to cause problems, say, for our friends across the pond?
Don't know quite yet. We do know that later next week it's going to end up in the vicinity of Iceland. So, you know, it's headed up towards that North Atlantic area. Yeah. You know, I'll keep tabs on it. We'll update it on next week. We'll see if something doesn't happen with it as it is across the Atlantic there.
Okay, thanks. We'll see you for the wake up a little later. Next, we'll talk about our sing-song summer and why so many bands are coming to play in our region. And Katie Kelly, speaking of which, is kicking up her heels in Dieppe. Katie.
It's day 2 of YQM Country Fest. It's another beautiful day here in Dieppe, and everybody had an amazing time last night with headliner Kane Brown. Everyone is so pumped for tonight. Jelly Roll is here, and then tomorrow night, the finale with Luke Bryan. Coming up on the scene, I'm going to be chatting with last night's headliner Kane Brown. He was amazing. Let's see what everyone else thought. What did you think of Kane Brown? Stay tuned tuned for more from YQM Country Fest coming up on the scene.
It's been a big season for live music. A little later on the show, we'll join Katie Kelly live at YQM Country Music Fest in Dieppe. Of course, one of several large multi-day concert events on the East Coast this summer. Beyond fun, they are significant economic drivers. Music analyst and promoter Eric Alper joins us to discuss that. Good to see you, Eric.
Good to see you too, Todd. Thanks for having me.
These are big summer events for the communities, oftentimes small communities that host them and attract large crowds, but also for the artists. These are very important, aren't they?
Yeah, especially because in the last 20 years, the artists have definitely seen a decrease in the amount of money that they're making in terms of their recorded music. Because, you know, as much as vinyl is cool and people are having cassettes, the streaming services don't really pay as much as, you know, maybe that some of these artists are used to. So they're relying on the live show, especially the festivals that are happening, especially on the East Coast, where this is the artist opportunity to maybe play in front of a crowd who don't know who they are, or maybe wouldn't have the opportunity to see them at a small club or maybe even a larger venue.
You represent musical acts. Seems like there's a lot of these multi-day festivals this year, not just in the Maritimes, of course, but right across the country. You and I talked about this a little while ago when it was really big in the news about the idea of bands that might be leery about crossing the border into the States. Are you still feeling some of that, and might that be encouraging them to stay and play some of these?
Yeah, you know, what's going on politically and on the economic tip in the U.S. is actually bigger than when you and I talked about. Now, for sure, there are way more artists in Canada that aren't willing to go to the U.S. So they're kind of taking a look at what's available for them in Canada. And I think this summer and fall, we're seeing a lot of artists who wouldn't normally be seen at a festival show actually say yes to these shows. Not only do they, you know, feel compelled to, you know, spend money here and make their money here and hire locally, but you know, they're kind of thinking about the glass ceiling that you and I and a lot of the viewers had seen in the last 50 years, was that you had to go to America in order to break it big. There's artists now who are thinking that's not the case anymore. I do want to play the East Coast and maybe those smaller towns that we might have skipped over the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's interesting. These tickets are not cheap, but here in the Maritimes, I'm thinking of the big, you know, the Cavendish Festival, YQM that's on now. Of course, we just had the Halifax Music Festival with Nickelback, the Killers. They all seem to be doing well. They all seem to be attracting crowds. So clearly there's, you know, money that people are willing to spend on this.
Yeah, I think the music festival organizers are getting really smart since COVID because, you know, in Canada, we were kind of shut down for 2 years, in some cases 2.5 years, when America was opened up after like 3 months. So I think the organizers know that we have a real need and a real hankering to get out to these festivals, to experience the crowds, to get used to the atmosphere, which is also part of the whole performance, to check out the arts and crafts section, to check out the food and the drink section that they have. And they want to make it affordable, not just for the fans, but for families and maybe some of those, you know, kind of, people within the community who would normally not go out to a festival. They're going to make it really super easy to do that. And I think the artists are realizing this too. And maybe they're not charging as much as they would normally because it's Canada, because they know that they've got a real opportunity to earn a really good and new fan base, especially on the East Coast.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Most of these festivals, of course, are multi-performer events rather than a one big off show. We used to see those at Magnetic Hill in Moncton, in particular, the likes of U2, Rolling Stones, AC/DC, the Eagles. That's not the case anymore. Is that a product of the fragmenting of music, or is that just because people would rather, if they're going to spend their $120, see a few acts as opposed to the big headliner?
A lot of those big headliner, the one that sell tens of millions of albums, simply aren't going to go and do a festival act. They don't get to control the stage as much as they want. They certainly don't get to control the kind of show that they might be used to putting on in an arena. But what it does offer a lot of the other acts is a chance to maybe headline in front of 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people that they normally would. And for festival organizers, this is their chance to actually bring up a lot of those smaller acts that maybe they don't get paid a lot, but they certainly get the exposure rather than those large paychecks. So, you know, I wouldn't expect to see a U2 do a festival anymore, but an artist that has, you know, 10 or 15 million streams, absolutely.
Okay. I can't let you go without mentioning the poster behind you. Oasis. They rumble into Toronto very soon. That is the show of the year, no doubt. What is it that has captured the imagination? Clearly, it's not just old guys like me.
No, it's really, I think part of it is, you know, for people who grew up with Oasis, watching them go from absolutely nothing to being the biggest band in the world. Look, let's face it, we all want a happy ending. We want to see it in movies and shows and books, and to see Liam and Noel Gallagher again on stage, laughing and being together. Forget about the brothers, but just performing together. That's the happy ending I think that we all as fans want. I'm seeing the show on Monday. I think I kind of need to leave today in order to make sure that I get a good parking spot. It's going to be madness. This is a tour that nobody thought would happen.
Yeah, and it's one that brings an energy to a crowd probably like no other. Is that fair to say?
It's going to be a sing-along from the moment that they get on stage until a couple of days later, for sure. This is one for the ages.
Okay, well, we won't keep you. We know you've got to pack up the car and get down there in time. Enjoy it. We will speak again soon, no doubt. Eric Alper.
Thank you so much for having me, Todd.
In Toronto. We'll talk again soon. All right, we'll take a break. Still to come, as I mentioned, Katie is in Dieppe live. We're on the scene. Where else? Day 2 of the YQM Country Festival in Dieppe. CTV's Katie Kelly is in the middle of all the action. You got a lot of friends behind you there, Katie.
Todd, last night was amazing, and as you can hear, the crowd is having a wicked time here at YQM Country Fest. Tonight, Jelly Roll hits this very stage, and then tomorrow night, it's Luke Bryan with the finale. Last night, I was lucky enough to talk to headliner Kane Brown. Here's a look at what we talked about.
Country superstar Kane Brown launched night 1 of YQM Country Fest with a bang.
Me and my band just like to have a good time together, and yeah, just a lot of energy. We don't really have many slow songs. We like to keep people on their feet and, you know, just having a good time.
What do you like about coming to this part of the world?
Right now, in particular, the weather's amazing, and then I got to go golf today, and the golf course was awesome. So it was nice, yeah.
Kane's latest single, Two Pair, has quickly become a fan favorite.
I actually wrote this song in Canada.
The track takes inspiration from Nelly's early 2000s hit, Air Force Ones.
We just did a show with him 2 weeks ago, and no matter how old, young, you're just gonna have a good time.
And even with Two Pair playing everywhere this summer, Brown says it still feels special to hear it out of the blue.
I heard it today on the golf course. I thought it was cool. Somebody was playing it, listening to it. Yeah.
Is that still cool?
Yeah, it's still cool. It gets a little strange sometimes, like, because now if I walk in somewhere, I feel like somebody put it on purpose. You know what I mean? But
I bet you they did know. You're just that good.
It's on the playlist sometimes. I know. I gotta give myself more credit.
Yeah, you definitely do. That's really cool. That must have felt good. This weekend was a getaway with just his wife. A rare break from traveling with the whole family.
They've been great. They've been with me basically everywhere. They didn't come this time. So it's just me and my wife, so we're getting a little time away with each other. We're gone for 2 weeks. So I think our next drive is 17 hours. So we'll just be watching movies and laying in bed all day.
Even with a jam-packed touring schedule, he's already thinking about his next album.
I'm on a different wave. I keep bouncing around music and just what inspires me. And I've gotten out a lot more recently because we already had our 3rd kid and almost 1. So it's just, I have more conversations. For a while there, I was in a shell, and I had to find stuff to motivate me to write.
Mm-hmm. But like the family and just life, it's given you so much more to talk about. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, we'll have so much fun tonight. It was really cool to meet you, and you're awesome. And hopefully we'll get you back here on the East Coast really soon.
Well, thank you. Nice to meet you.
All right. Thank you, Katie. Let's take a look at what's on TV tonight.
with Aaron and Peter.
60 seconds, 10 questions. If you can pull that off, you're going to win $1 grand.
Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for the $1,000 Minute.
On the markets, the Dow saw a midday surge to close the trading week, up 846 points. We have new retail sales numbers today from Stats Canada. Marilla Fernandez of BNN Bloomberg has those.
Canadian consumers were spending more in June than they did in May. Retail sales were up 1.5%. Canadians spent $70.2 billion, with the biggest increase in the food and beverages sector. In a provincial breakdown, Ontario residents spent the most, buying more vehicles and car parts. In BC, consumers were stocking up on building materials and garden equipment. Here's a look at how the trading day ended. The Canadian dollar moved up to 72.31. West Texas Intermediate slightly up, hitting 63.66. Western Canadian Select moved up over $1 to $50.60. And the TSX hit another record close today, spiking 277 points to 28,333. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
All right, to the weather deck now. There's Kalen. Looks like a bit of wind out there.
Oh, it's gusty out here this evening, Todd. Experiencing the wind gusts brought on by the Hurricane Erin, well, actually post-tropical Erin that's passing offshore of the region. The gusts that are still around, like here in the north end of Halifax, are going to continue to diminish as we make our way through this evening and through tonight. Let's take a look at our viewer picture for tonight. And this is a beautiful sunrise shot, and it's coming in from this morning and was taken at Jersey Cove in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, and sent in by Lorraine Powers. I want to thank Lorraine very much for taking the time to share that picture for us. Jersey Cove for tomorrow, looking sunny and a high temperature near 21 degrees. Day planner for tomorrow around the Maritime region, early Saturday morning. Temperatures mostly high single digits into the low teens, a mix of sun and cloud. And throughout the day on Saturday, there will be a chance of a few passing showers up in the north of New Brunswick, but that's about it for precipitation. I know the region's looking for some more rain, but tomorrow, the only chance of showers up in the north of New Brunswick. Most of the high temperatures tomorrow, mid-20s, low 20s on parts of the coast. Now, let's find out what's coming up next week on CTV Morning Live.
Monday on CTV Morning Live, asking the burning questions.
We'll chat with the president of the Halifax Professional Firefighters Association on how they're feeling about the current wildfire situation.
News, weather, and more. It's everything you need. CTV Morning Live, Monday.
Finally, for us on a Friday night, a flag-raising ceremony to mark the 34th anniversary of Ukrainian independence took place today at City Hall in Moncton. Members of the Ukrainian Club of Moncton thanked Canadians for their support during Ukraine's war with Russia. The national anthems of both countries were played, and a moment of silence was held to honor all Ukrainians who have given their lives for their country's freedom.
This is the day when we proudly raise our blue-yellow flag, a symbol of freedom, dignity, and the unbreakable spirit of our people. Here in Canada, we have the honor to maintain our traditions, to preserve our language and culture, and to support each other, and pass our love to our homeland, to our children.
Ukraine declared its independence from the former Soviet Union. That was on this day back in 1991. The two countries, Russia and Ukraine, have been at war now for 3 years. And that is a look at our day here at home. Bruce Frisco has our next newscast at 11:30 after CTV National, and CTVNewsAtlantic.ca has our reporting over the weekend. We're going to leave you with scenes of Newfoundland, courtesy our friends at Cloud Cam Aerials, with the names of everyone who brings you your newscast each night. I'm Todd Battis. Thanks for watching. Good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast.